So we will start with a rewind of what we were trying to do in the last class and then continue with it, right? So we started with module 4 in the last class with the topic of continuous improvement, right? So we spoke about how total quality management is all about continuous improvement in an organization, which could be in terms of its product, in terms of its process, quality process, and a few other things we spoke about. We also spoke about Juran as a management guru who gave a lot of what to say content on what should be this way in which organizations should go about doing their quality improvements. So in that context, we came across one important concept which was highlighted by Juran. What was it? Can you tell me? Can somebody tell me what is that topic which we discussed in the last class that spoke about Juran's plan of action for continuous improvement? One word. One word. All right. If at all it was a question like a quiz question, the answer expected was Juran's trilogy. Okay. So I hope people are understanding what are the key words that you need to remember regarding certain or to say topics that we are discussing. Okay. So Juran's trilogy was he came up with this trilogy, and we also had a very brief introduction to the graph that spoke about the trilogy. Okay, so this is what we discussed in the last class, and today we will continue with the same concept. We will try to look more or ponder more into the concept that Juran was trying to explain. So I'll share with you the screen, okay, which will talk about more about the various different strategies that Juran spoke about, right? So let me go to this particular graph, okay, and this was the graph that we were trying to discuss, okay. Uh, so sorry, this is yeah. So let me come out of it and let me put it on the scale, bigger scale. Okay. So we had in the last class spoke about that. Juran spoke about three important things, which was quality planning, quality improvement, and quality control, right? So in that context, we came across this. So this particular graph, okay, had a few regions, okay, and one of the regions was the, okay, let me small, okay, this was the quality planning region, okay, and we spoke about how the timeline was this before the time starts. We were looking at the planning aspects, and we discussed about what were the contents of quality planning. What does the organization do when they say that they're doing a plan for a particular quality, right? uh, okay, so that being said, once it's been planned, they go for the execution mode, or they start doing the execution of the planned activities. And there is a graph that was demonstrated here, and today we will try to more look into the depth of what this graph is all about, and how the improvement strategies have helped the organization to reduce its what to say waste. Okay. All right. So this being the context, we just had a few slides which spoke about what do they do in the planning time, right? So they establish goals for quality. They establish who their customers are, identify who their customers are. They identify the needs of the customer. They plan and try to develop product features that respond to the customer needs. uh, Post that, they are also looking at to develop a process, okay. So that is more important. After you develop the product, you need to have the proper processes to deliver the kind of features that was planned, right? And once the process has been or to say established, you need to control the process, because if the process is not properly planned and not properly executed, there will be issues. There could be deficiencies, there could be faults, there could be errors that can come up. So all those things is the control. So you all have learned the subject called controls. Okay, so where you have learned that how errors can be reduced through feedbacks, right? So that is a proper normal process of doing it. So this is what they do in the quality planning. Now, once they plan and once they enter into the execution mode, they need to, control the quality, right? So during the execution process, once we go to the graph, we'll understand what can go wrong. So there will be an evaluation process to actually evaluate the actual performance over the, desired performance, right? So that was also there, that compare the goals and act on the difference. So these were various different, sorry, my windows are open, so all right, so can't help you with that. Okay, so that said, yeah, then we go to the quality improvement. So we look into what they do in the quality improvement. So we will just spend more time on this particular graph. Okay, so what this particular graph is trying to put forth or portray to all of us is that during the quality planning process, they try to bring up all the aspects of the product or the process that needs to be developed for the generation of the final goal. Okay, so they set up goals and all those things. So the timeline is, they all plan this before the timeline starts. Now, on the x-axis, you have your time, and on the y-axis, you have different, uh, points, and depending upon different points, the graph will vary. In this particular graph, they have used the defects. Okay. So what this, they have also have put a graph or a methodology of that execution of a particular process, and then this is the outcome of that particular methodology, and this is there. This is a generic or a process outcome when a new product is conceptualized and started executing. So we'll go dissect it in a little more deeper manner to really understand what is happening. So what is happening is, every company, when they mm, think of a producing a particular product, they try to design processes to ensure that they'll have minimum waste, okay, and maximum productivity, or the deficiency of the product quality. When I say deficiency of the product quality, you you want the product to have certain qualities, you expect certain aspects of features to be there in that particular product, and when you try to manufacture the product, maybe there will be some, because of process errors or because of environment errors, you may find that there is a lack of what to say results that you are expected. Let me give you an example. Okay, for example, you have asked people about what they like in the biscuits, and then they have also given inputs about what they want in the biscuit, and then you conceptualize, you plan everything. Okay, you plan the name of the biscuit, and then you design the shape of the biscuit. You plan. So in the planning process, you would have heard from people that they like regular shaped biscuits more than irregular shaped biscuits. So you can find that there is a lot of biscuits which are all very symmetric, right? It could be square, rectangular, circular, or something like that. So the based on the requirements analysis that was done by the planning team, they conceptualized how the biscuit is going to be, and they spoke to people about how sweet the biscuit is supposed to be, how crisp the biscuit is supposed to be, and all those things. So based on all the inputs, they set deadlines, or they set objectives, saying that okay, this should be the sweetness factor of that particular biscuit, this should be the crisp factor of that particular biscuit, this should be the aesthetics of that particular biscuit, this should be the the kind of attraction that biscuit should have. These kind of people should be the ambassadors and all the stuff was planned. Now imagine that at time t is equal to 0, they start the process of executing it. So when I say they start the process of executing it, that means a process of manufacturing the biscuit was designed, and then that process is put to operations, right? So during the operations, it is normally found that regardless of how well you plan your what to say processes, you will always start with the 20% of deficiencies. That means to say, you expect these deficiencies to be almost zero. You want the curve to start from the origin and be a flat line. That means you want it to be a horizontal line, but that does not happen. You start with some amount of deficiency. Now, this will vary from what to say technology to technology. It will vary from environment to environment. Supposedly, if you're trying to manufacture a completely out of the box, out of the world product, maybe the deficiencies are more. If you're trying to build a product which is already in place for a long time, and then now we are, for examples, let me say buckets, okay, plastic buckets or whatever is that you use at your home, right? There was a time when the plastic was invented, and then when they started producing plastic, the quality of those products were not so high because they didn't know what kind of small tweaking to the changes to the content or chemicals or processes can make it better. But over a period of time, through quality control and quality improvements, they actually did it, right? So that means today's products that you use are of very high quality because it's not happened overnight. It has happened over a period of time because of the improvements that was instigated and followed, right? Anyway, we'll come down to that. So this graph speaks about that when you start producing, you'll start with 20% deficiencies. And then you can find that they are producing the product with the same kind of deficiency over a period of time. That means this is the time for the organization's quality control department to really identify why such chronic waste is happening. That means when I say chronic waste, there could be, like, if it is a manufacturing biscuit manufacturing company, you expect that all the biscuits that was manufactured should be of high quality, and then they should go for packing. Okay, but things might go wrong, right? Biscuits might be broken, the edges might be broken, right? So 20% wastage is happening right now when you started with the operation. So, and this is continuing for some period of time. You can also see that there will be some spikes, sporadic spikes. So these can happen because of environmental conditions. It could happen because of for some examples, it could be like a power failure during the operations that is happening. It could happen because of human error. It could happen because of an earthquake happens, and then a mixture becomes different. So there are many reasons for the sporadic what to say spikes in the increase in the number of defects that can happen, right? So this can happen, no issues with that. No, all these things are checkpoints for the quality control operations department to ensure their final objective or their goal is to reduce this particular graph to a flat line along the x-axis. So that is what that means, zero defects. Okay, we will come down when we spoke about the next management guru Crosby, how zero defects was his management strategy, and how that should be the important go way ahead for any organizations to carry forward quality improvement, right? We will look at it later. So this being these for all the sporadic what to say spikes, the quality control. So what do you mean by chronic waste? So chronic waste, I spoke that there could be some wastages that is happening. So because of this wastage, what is happening here is you have to redo. For example, if you want to make what to say 1 lakh biscuits, okay, and then you start fabricating and you get 20,000 or almost 2 lakh 20,000 biscuits, individual biscuits broken or something. So what is going to happen here is, since your target was 1 lakh, and then since 20,000 of the biscuits were what to say of not of the quality, you have to manufacture another 20,000 or even more with the percentages, considering the kind of losses that you will incur, to actually deliver 1,000 biscuits. You're understanding? So 1,000 biscuits So I think you have to manufacture, if you want 1 lakh biscuits, you have to manufacture one more than what to say, 1.25 lakh biscuits, to ensure that what is going to happen is you end up with 1 lakh biscuits which are of good quality and that is deliverable. So you need to rework, you need to invest more on those 25 lakh, what is that, 25,000 biscuits, etc. You have to find ways of, I mean, salvaging all those waste that is there, right? So that's a different strategy. So first of all, the strategy is to minimize or reduce this chronic waste. Chronic in the sense, this waste is happening. You can see over a period of time, this waste is being there, right? So then the quality improvement department. So the time taken for the quality improvement department to come up with strategies that can reduce should be minimal. Okay, so this time taken by the company to actually identify where things are going wrong and how things can be changed to reduce this particular deficiencies is the job role of the quality control, right? So that time should be as minimal as possible. But yeah, depending upon the skills, depending upon the technology, depending upon people, the time will vary from organization to organization and depending upon the skill sets. Now that all said and done, what happens once the quality revolution or the quality improvement processes are put in place? Okay, so this was the original zone of quality control. Okay, and now because of the quality improvement strategies that the company might bring in, right? So for example, in the same biscuit manufacturing, they identified that if you can tweak the content or the mixture proportion by a little bit, make it a little more liquidy, or liquid, make it little more, what to say, thick, you the number of brokerages or broken biscuits that emerge out of after baking might change, right? So ensuring doing this, that's an R&D process that they do, and then based on the outcome of the R&D process, then they start producing with the new quality, new, what is a, strategies and process, which ensures that their defects has come down. Okay, actually zero defect is the what to say, desire of any organization, but they may not end up with zero defects but very minimal defects. So and they move into this new quality control zone. Okay, so the new quality control zone, then the job of the operations department is to either stabilize this particular thing or try to even minimize that particular thing, right? So this is a very important thing. So now this is a very important line that we spoke about from the learnings of the operations department on how things can go wrong. For the next set of planning, for the next set of products, or maybe a revision of the same product, the lessons learned become an input for the designing or the next planning actions, right? So this is very important. So we'll just look into some of the, what to say, strengths of the Juren's trilogy. Okay, the method searches for a continuous improvement of quality in every aspect of the organization, because if the implementation of the methodology does not give the desired results, they have to possibly start from the beginning again, right? So it's very important that at every level they have to look into the implementation part. The methodology allows use of different quality tools to cover the steps of Juren's trilogy. Okay, we will talk about the quality tools at the what to say, in the next module, where we'll discuss the various different statistical tools that are available. Okay, it allows a better understanding of the relationship at every stage of the company, right? The methodology is well structured and allows the companies that implement it an easy understanding of the application. So these are the strengths. There are also weaknesses of the Juren's what to say, trilogy. Okay, so what is going to happen is you need to have a trained what to say, people. You need to have people who are properly trained to have quality control. It is necessary to have trained person with knowledge in statistical process, because I don't know. Yeah, there is a subject called operations research, which you people don't study for some reason. In that particular subject, operations research, there are examples. Statistically, you try to come to a conclusion for certain problems. I used to give that replacement of what to say, bulbs in any household or any organization. Supposedly, if there is an organization which has, let us say, 1,000 bulbs, and bulbs, they burn out, right? And when they burn out, you need to replace those bulbs. Okay, so if something like this happens, every week, let us say, two bulbs were 2 or 20 bulbs were in 1,000 bulbs that are there. In every week, 20 bulbs burn out. Okay, so, and the what is it, the duration, there will be some statistics or numbers which says that every week this many numbers burn out, and the life of you can't predict the life of a bulb. Okay, some of the bulbs have been staying for years together, some bulbs burn out in a day or two. So you don't know the actual lifetime of a bulb. So you need to keep replacing the bulbs as and when they burn out, right? So statistically, you can find out that rather than replacing the bulbs when they burn out, you I think somebody's mic is on. Kindly mute it. I'm hearing parents talking, right? So kindly mute your mics, right? All right. So yeah, replacement of bulbs, that was a topic that we were talking about. And then you can find out that one-time replacement of all the 1,000 bulbs is actually a favorable equation for the organization, rather than replacing bulbs one at a time, right? So okay, there's some disturbance. Kindly bear with me because my mic will be on. Okay, so sorry, I don't know what to do. All right, so that is very important. So statistical processes are very important for any organizations as per Juren's quality improvement programs, which is a weakness because you can't have every organizations to have people who have done MTech statistics or PhD in statistics to be part of your quality team and give you information and statistics of what should be the best number to produce and all those stuff. So it doesn't happen like that. So these are certain issues of okay, sorry, yeah, all said and done, the program is to focus in the company's process and not in the labor force. So this is a weakness, right? So the program is to focus in the company's processes and not in the labor force. So what here they're trying to portray here is that they assume that if proper training is provided, anybody can be part of the team, right? So which is good, but it's a weakness because uh, you experience give rise to something called as wisdom, right? And that does not happen overnight with anybody. So the labor force has to be having certain skill sets. Okay, processes are important, but the labor is also, for example, let us say I'll give you two processes, one digging a road and then another one being a wood manufacturing company, right? So there are laborers who dig the road and then make holes for certain work. Okay, their process is important and who digs it does not matter, because using the right kind of the tools, using the right kind of mechanism to dig the earth is important rather than who digs it. But when it comes to a wood manufacturing company, process is also there. Okay, right? This much of wood has to be taken out, and this much should be the way in which the wood has to be taken out. All processes are there. But if the person is a recruit or a novice who doesn't have any experience in chopping woods, he will not chop in the right manner, and the final product may not be of good quality. So there are certain drawbacks of weaknesses of Juren's, right? So the third weaknesses that they speak about is analyzing the requirement of the program. We found that the companies who apply to the program have a complex level of organization. Obviously, isn't it? So as said, since it requires a lot of people with knowledge, theoretical as well as practical knowledge, the complexity of the organization is going to be higher. So Juren's quality improvement usually I can't generalize it and say that it doesn't work until unless you have the right kind of manpower with the skill sets that is required. during improvement strategies cannot be applied. That means to say very small organizations with very few people. India is about SMEs, right? Small and medium scale industries, which are started by people who are not even educated, right? There are a lot of entrepreneurs who are not educated, so forget the statistical background and degrees, so they don't even know how so they are entrepreneurs, they start the business and all this stuff. So you can't ask him to follow Durance management improvement strategies and then come up with products, right? So these are some of the weaknesses, right? So these are about some of the reasons. And before we came to Duran, we had studied about Deming. You remember Deming's cycle and all those stuff. So this is what we discussed in the first two modules. Okay, Deming cycle, where we spoke about 14 different strategies or points of Deming's quality management. So I just wanted to show that some of the very important topics of Deming's is the way in which the work is being executed. So this plan, do, check and act. Okay, plan, do, check and act is the most important parts of the Deming cycle. Okay, where you plan for certain activities, you do that activities, you check whether the processes are proper, and then finally you act upon whether the processes are incorrect or anything like that. So this is a continuous process. Okay, in doing so, your standard of the quality of production increases. So when your standard or quality improves, quality improvement happens over a period of time. This is a consolidation through standardizations. Again, we go to the next standard, you plan for it, you do it, you check it, and you act on it. So this is your Deming's. And there are 14 different aspects of Deming cycles. Uh, Let me put it in, yeah. Create constancy of purpose for improvement of product and service, follow new philosophy, discontinue dependence on mass inspection, cease practices. So what one of the important we have discussed was the price, right? Do you remember we were speaking about how through examples that regardless of however the customer's requirement, when he speaks about a particular expectations from a product, he might tell 1,000 things that he expects to be there in a product. And when you try to build all those features in a product and try to sell it to him, he will not buy it because the price of that particular product would have gone up, right? So price was also a very, very important factor that affects the decision making of people. So it's a management's experience based on what kind of features should be part of the product, so that the customer is also happy with the product. At the same time, he will buy your product, right? Mercedes-Benz, of course, the strategies are different. So when they pump in a lot of R&D into the manufacture of those goods, okay, the cost of the good is going to increase. At the same time, if you're not able to sell your products to the expectations that you want, you are a failure, right? There are many such case studies which we can discuss in management, where I always keep speaking about Mahindra Renault's R&D on and production of the Logan car, which almost had all the requirements that the people had expected from a sedan, right? But still, it failed in the market. It failed disastrously in the market. Okay, we can sometime have a debate or a discussion on what's happening in the automobile industry today. Okay, there are big players who are being in the market, big players who are exited the market, and there are big players who are struggling. Maruti has been there, Maruti Suzuki, we can, yeah, they're one and the same. Okay, Toyota has its own market share, Hyundai has its own market share. We can sometime talk about what is the state of Renault, okay, in India. We can talk about what is Nissan doing in India, and what is the condition of Volkswagen in India, right? So Ford in India. So these are the big people who came to India with big strategies, right? We will discuss when we meet in a face-to-face session in classroom, and we'll try to understand what went wrong with the strategies, why some of the strategies did not work, what kind of strategies worked for what kind of companies. Because Renault was able to capture the low-end market using the Quid, okay? but they have a lineup of so many very good cars. Those cars are not probably the best sold products in the market. Which were the products that were the market accepted? Ford, one of the biggest manufacturers in US, okay, and they still manufacture some of the best cars, if you ask me, okay. But still they are not able to capture the market. But a South Korean company like Hyundai, not manufacturing, I mean, should not be commenting on the quality aspects of any company as such, but still was able to capture the Indian market with certain what to say aspects, and then they are a decent, they have a decent market share in the automobile sector, right? And they are coming up with products that are even more what to say catchy, eye catchy, and then they are trying to capture even bigger share of market. And how companies make strategies. So yeah, so those are the higher level management strategies we will look in some other time. Okay, so these were the 14 philosophies of Deming that we had discussed. Now, what I wanted to conclude before the session ends is three different points. Okay, management, or let us say quality aspect of the management was discussed by three people. Okay, in the first module we just discussed quality, and when it came to the second module we spoke about Deming's version of how quality is and how quality can be improved. So that was the first thing that we did in the module 2. And in module 3 we came across Juran, right? Juran gave a lot of inputs about how quality can be improved, and that is what we are doing. And the fourth module, we will also discuss about one more management guru giving a lot of input. Okay, and that is about Crosby. Okay, so these are the three different people: Deming, uh, Juran, and Crosby. Okay, so these three people are talking about the same thing, but they have a different version of it. Okay, Deming speaks about quality improvement in terms of various different 14 different factors. Okay, and Juran gave the trilogy. Okay, and where he speaks about how quality can be controlled using these three processes. And Crosby talks about the same quality improvement in a different aspect, where he speaks about zero defects being the final goal of any organization. So with these three, we will, in the next class when we meet online, we will discuss or try to compare these three strategies, and then try to come up with the final essence of what all the three people are trying to do. Okay, I think the time is almost up. So once we complete this particular class, I'm trying to make okay, okay, speaker does not matter. Okay, continue recording. All right. So all said and done, I'll try to post the content as quickly as possible. I'm just trying to compile.